Hello and welcome to Quick Take TA here on Landy's Crypto Corner. Today is June 19th, 2024, and we are only going to be looking at Bitcoin today, so it will be a little bit of a quicker video. Bitcoin is still testing on a closing basis right around this April of 2021 monthly swing high, which is, I've been calling it $65,000 on some exchanges. It is on the close, but here on spot price, it is actually 64,900. Now, yesterday's close did come in slightly above there at 64,943, but Bitcoin still hasn't done much to show me that it's ready for any kind of a even bounce right now. Although the setup is kind of available and is starting to form, it is looking as though if Bitcoin remains below the lower first here at $66,000, that it is more likely to test the lower second, which is right around its current wick low at $64,000. So, we've hit one of the major downside targets that I had between 64 and 65. Now, that is this close open structure and, of course, this April of 2021 monthly swing high. Now, this is all born on the back of this high being closed below. This was really the first big lower high. Prior to this lower high, we saw the big expansion up that created the all-time highs here. Big move down to retest the monthly closing highs from October of 2021 and March of 2021 respectively. Of course, the March closure was also a quarterly closing high. Got the nice bounce, lower highs, higher lows, higher highs, but did not take out that all-time high, which at the time we were talking about this is likely either going to go sideways into a consolidation, or we're looking for a larger correction. We of course did see that larger correction on the closes below the $65,000 level. And in this case, we had the lower low right back into that big monthly and bottom side quarterly zone. Nice bounce up to this major lower high at 67,272. Now, this is what was holding price up after the trend change. So we had two major lower highs here, the 67,272 on a wick basis, and then the next wick was at 65.5 or so. And between that 67,272 and the close here at $64,000, we've kind of identified that area as, if this consolidation low does not hold this high here, we step it down to the next high. And so far, $65,000 to $64,000 has been tagged. Lower second standard deviation is down there. So it is a likely candidate, as long as Bitcoin is trading below $66,000, to go test this area again at 64 and possibly below, to the top side of this higher low structure before the actual trend break. So we had the downtrend, we had a higher low, and then the trend break that broke out above that 65.5 wick high. This occurred back in the middle of May. So this area is very important. If $64,000 does break down, even intraday, I would start to target the wick highs here at around 63.5 to the closes here around $63,000. Anywhere below there, and I am going to start targeting somewhere around 62.5 by this order block area down to $61,000, somewhere around the October of 2021 monthly swing high. If it does get below there, eyes on this higher low structure. The close is coming in at 60,814. And the wick low is coming in at around 60,150. So between 60,000 and 60,800, this is the danger zone for Bitcoin. So if we did start to see, 62 to 63 breakdown, starts pushing into 61 at this October monthly close from 2021, then we do have to pay attention to this structure over here. If it does break down from that structure on a closing basis, then we are looking for a markdown, somewhere around the $59,000 to $58,800 March monthly quarterly closing highs from 2021. Anywhere below there, we're looking right back to this deviation low on the daily and 2-day chart on those higher term timeframes as shown yesterday. 3-day and above, it did not close below the monthly and quarterly here, but on the daily and 2-day it did. So we would have to pay attention to this deviation area at 58.2 to 3 down to that actual low on a swing at 56,500. Now, if Bitcoin did initiate a move down through these major support levels and then start to take out 56,500, pretty bearish, right? But if it swung mid 50s and then popped right back up and started to close above 56.5 and then regain that monthly quarterly from March of 2021 at around $58,800 to $59,000, we could potentially see maybe the end of a wider move. And as it stands right now, as long as Bitcoin is holding above $65,000 here at this April of 2021 monthly swing high, and if it can start to put in a daily low, especially on closes above 65,700 here, that would mark a daily low. I would still need to see price closing above the lower first at around 66 to start identifying this lower high here of this downtrending structure as a likely candidate to get hit. But that's coming in at that 67,272, right? That's this high that was holding up the low side consolidation right around the and just below the all-time high up here. So if we did start to see 65,700 and subsequently 66K intraday get closed above, keep an eye on this wick high somewhere around 67.2 to 3. If we did see a close above there, we would get a low structure being set on a closing basis and a swing, of course, down to that 64,000 or wherever price swings down to beyond there, if it does, and then a trend break, right, above 67.2 to 3. That would start to paint a different picture. I would begin to look for some higher prices up to around the basis, somewhere around $68,000 or just shy of it to $69,000 at the prior cycle high. Above there, looking to around, deep $69,000 to $70,000 area by the upper first. And you can see the rejection by the upper first right there prior to losing $69,000. Now, above there, I'm looking right back to this high side structure, somewhere around the closes at 71.5 to the upper second, where the swing highs are at $72,000. And then, of course, above there, I'm looking to the all-time high, somewhere around 73 to 73,835. And above there, 75 to 78, 78 to 80, mid to low 80s from there. So it's better that Bitcoin holds in and around where it is now. Can it dip down to $64,000? Sure. If it does start to dip down below there, keep a very close eye on the $62,000 to $63,000 level. So $63,000 is the top side of the higher low structure of the prior trend. So keep a very close eye on it, because if we do start seeing closures below there, eyes on that October $61,000 to $62,000 area. So let's check on a few more things. If Bitcoin's playing around the bearish control zone, it has dipped down to $64,000. The bearish control zone is coming in at 64.5 or so, 64,550, almost 64.6. I'm sorry, 576, almost 64.6. Bitcoin has played down into that area. Of course, been closing above in and around the $65,000 area. That does mean that if Bitcoin, again, does close above 65,700 and paint a low, we would get a drive of hidden bullish divergence. And this is coming off of this RSI level over here. That is that 60,800 close. That's the higher low close from the prior trend that kicked off the prior trend, with that wick coming in at around 60,150 here on spot. We would get a drive of hidden bullish divergence from there. I don't think it'd be just, we would still need to see trend break above that 67,272, 67,274 of the current wick high of this move down. But it would be minimum good for a nice bounce, a little bit of relief in the markets, and then we come back to it and hunt out, the areas of interest, looking for a potential higher low or equal lows to then try to change the trend. So that is something to be aware of and watch closely for over the next, 2 days. So Thursday candle into Friday candle, which is the quad witching for traditional markets for options. And in this case, pivot is the same as yesterday. Now, I do want to call out that this is a regular Stochs. So I got some questions after yesterday's video. We already have an RSI, so want to use Stoke RSI, which is just, the velocity of RSI when I'm already using RSI. So in this case, this is a regular Stoke. This is a momentum indicator that is price derived. So it is measuring close over close price momentum, not the velocity of RSI, as that would be a little bit redundant. We can already see our RSI and the important zones that it's in, and we can identify the areas of divergence there. We don't really need a momentum indicator for the RSI, but in fact, we want a momentum indicator for our price action, in this case, for the type of analysis that I do. We can see that the pivot here is still the same as yesterday. It's around, closes above 65,100. We would see an initial cross back to the upside. If we do see that, we need to see it follow through in the next candle. That means that whatever this pivot updates to, somewhere around the lows, 64, 64 and a half, we would need to see price close above that pivot subsequently to get a complete cross back to the upside. You will note that this is still pointed down, but has the potential to cross back up on the 12-hour as well. We do need to see a 12-hour low put in really to kick this off. And that would be on closes above 64,900 or so. So basically $65,000. Now, this area does not provide for any in-trend bullish divergence, but just like the daily, it would provide for, if it puts in a low here soon, and has been throwing them anyway, although my indicator doesn't have a look back period long enough for the 12-hour to throw it. But this area of RSI over here is that 60,800 area. We can see that RSI is below that area, but price is above. So we have been seeing the RSI being buoyed by some hidden bull divs here. I just don't have the look back on long enough. It just creates a mess when it's too long to actually paint that hidden bull div here on the 12-hour. But closes above 65 in the next 12-hour, that get follow through on the daily, and then closes above 65,700 would set that low. Again, need to see a trend break above 60, this last lower high, which is this lower high over here, 67,272 to 67,274. Closes above there, we would get a trend break, and then we can keep eyes on any moves back down for higher lows and or equal lows from there for a possible trend change. So that's pretty much going to do it. I talked about downside, talked about the upside. And yeah, I did want to note there is a 2-day closure coming in today. You can see the lower second is just below the current move's wick low, coming in at 63,641. So do want to see closures above there. This is a compression phase on the band. So when you do see price moving into this compression phase, as long as it's closing above there, you're going to see it squeeze some more. So it's usually a bit more supportive as we're going into a contraction phase for the bands currently. And pivot numbers kind of far away for the 2-day, 70,150 as compared to the daily, which is, just right around price action at 65,100. So you need to see that daily low getting set, see that bleed over into the 2-day and 3-day. 3-day did just get its close open. Right now from a volatility standpoint, it is, it's saying that essentially anywhere below the basis band at 65,850, likely, going to keep testing $65,000 at this April monthly swing high to its current low at 64, with the potential from a volatility standpoint to be looking down to 62 and a half. As it is set up in kind of a range look right now to the upside. Back above the basis, we're looking to around 69 by the prior cycle highs. Above there, we're looking to right around 72, right around our current high side structure on the 3-day. 4-day is also going to be closing with today's daily and 2-day candle. This cross down on momentum, not great. But again, this is setting up for what looks to be a consolidation structure. If it does lose the basis, however, we're looking to the supports here where it's currently sitting at 65. Lower first is right there at around $63,000, which is the top side of that daily higher low structure prior to the breakout from middle of May. So I would keep an eye on some of these time frames, but right now, more immediately, we need to track the move in progress, which is primarily occurring on this 12-hour and daily, and then see how that bleeds on into the 2-day, 3-day, 4-day, and so on and so forth. All right, that's going to do it for today. You all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening, no matter where you are in the world. Please trade safe, and of course, as always, stay safe. With all of that being said, Landy out.